Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another instalment of the Tru-Turf Super Series. Something a little bit different in this episode, but nonetheless less of any importance whatsoever. We're going down the dealer path this time and speaking to Nigel Taylor, who's the General Manager of Business Development for Malaysia for Sports Turf Solutions. Nigel, welcome along.
Thanks, Nick. Glad to be here. Good
Yeah. So, as I said, a little bit different path this time, but something that comes back to a previous episode we did with Mike Knoll, who's at Del Monte Beach or Del Monte Golf Club in the Pebble Beach Resorts area. We're going to touch a little bit about on mental health and a little project or a little task that you've set yourself to raise some awareness about mental health in the golf and sports turf industry.
Yeah, it is a project, I guess.
Yep.
And it's I'll jump straight into it. I called it the Dirty Dozen, and it's essentially, and towards the end of last year, the second half of last year, I sort of fell into a pretty deep hole and realised that I'd hit some depression and hit a bit of burnout as well, and there was a few other things in life going on as well with family, and so I'm now in Malaysia on my own, and I thought, well, I started actually coincidentally come across that article that you just mentioned. And this is kind of good. Some people are talking, but I'm a bit of a talk is cheap kind of philosophy, and I wanted to do something, and I've wanted to do an Everest for a long time, and I'll explain what that is in a minute. But I decided that one wasn't enough. I thought, well, one Everest and one posting on social media 1 month I don't see how that could make any real difference. I'd rather create a journey that everybody can follow. And along the way, as I get comfortable, maybe I can explain a bit of my journey and hopefully maybe get some people on to also open up a little bit. I have had people contact me, but it's still a tough subject. People still are not that comfortable opening up about it. It has a little bit of a stigma to it, but it's pretty important. And it's not just in our industry, but obviously we focus on our industry because that's what's important to us. But yeah, and I see it now when I talk to people. I can actually see, when just as conversations go along, that person's having a little bit of a hard time. That's probably why they've called me, or probably why we've stopped the chat, or why the stars have aligned. I can kind of have a sense, So yeah, the project is these 12 Everests, and an Everest it's a concept in the cycling world that it's I won't say a holy grail, but some of the top professional athletes in the world have done an Everest and said they will never do another one. And so basically it's find a hill anywhere in the world, you ride up and down that hill as many times as it takes to accumulate the elevation of Everest. And there's a lot of numbers involved with that, which equals how many laps and how many hours. And yeah, it is a tough task. The first one I did on January 1st this year, and it took me 22 hours. So It was, and I really wanted, I wanted to finish that one. I wanted to prove to myself that it was possible because I've seen a lot of other people doing it, but it's quite a challenge. And just to put it into perspective, I'm just a weekend hacker, the world record is around 7.5 hours.
It's amazing.
So, yeah. And Everest, I should also mention Everest is 8,848 meters high.
I was just about to say that to put some context for people sitting out there. Just shy of 9,000 meters up and down until you reach that total.
Correct. So the first one I rode in. I live in a complex here in Malaysia, and there's a little hill. It's kind of an abandoned road. Actually, it was good. Road surface is not great, but it only gave me about 30 meters of elevation gain. So I did 311 laps, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, which is another facet to the thing. That's also kind of that's hard. 300.
Yeah. So I think to get people's minds around that 22 hours in the saddle, or lapse time, I suppose. There's a time for some breaks and those sort of things, but that's a big journey on a bike, and especially when half of that. You're going uphill, middle of your half you're coming downhill, but half of that is going uphill. That's a significant amount of time in the saddle going up a hill.
It is, that's right. And like I said, there's a lot of kind of numbers involved with it and a bit of strategy. And I spend a fair bit of time in the evenings kind of trying to find hills that are suitable. For me, I've said I'm not a professional, just a weekend hacker, so I have to ride within my ability.
No doubt.
And the gradient, the road surface, the traffic, location to some degree, all those things play a factor. How long the climb is, how much elevation I can gain, which obviously reduces laps. But interestingly enough, I've done one, over 300 laps, and one which was just over 100 laps.
Yeah.
But the amount of time wasn't that much different. The time is what it just takes what it takes.
Time is relative at the end of the day, isn't it? So, well, that's an amazing effort to do one, and you're wanting to do 12 of those over the 12-month period. So that's a massive commitment from you. I'm sure your legs are going to look like steel pistons by the end of it. But, how do you set your mind about starting to create this cycle? And you were just talking earlier, you've had a couple of base camps, so you might want to explain what that means as well. But to get 12 Everests is pretty fair effort.
My cat's just trying to make an appearance on the camera there.
We welcome all to the Tru-Turf Super Series.
Look, the first one I didn't have as much preparation as I wanted to. But I guess the thing I will say about it is what I've learned is that, and from seeing professional cyclists do it also, and some of them not achieving it, right? They don't achieve it. It's tough. It is quite mental. And it's fitness over strength in a way. And I did a couple of ultra endurance events last year. One was 1,000 and one was 1,500 kilometers. I didn't get to finish the 1,500 kilometer one, but the 1,000 one put me in good. I felt confident doing the Everest or doing that amount of time for the Everest because I was doing 15 to 20 hour days on the 1,000 kilometer ultra endurance ride. So I was confident that I could do the time. The effort it has to be managed, and you're right. You sort of it's up and down. Half of it is down, 45 to 50 kilometres going downhill, and you spend about that's halfway, and the other half is 9 to 10 kilometres going uphill. So there's all that stuff when you're watching the cycling computer. It does sort of play with your mind a bit. How I get to it, in fact, I'm doing one this Saturday. I don't think about it this week.
Yeah.
All I do this week is I just make sure that I'm rested. I'm not drinking. I don't drink anything this week at all. I mean, I'm not a heavy drinker anyway, but I don't have any alcohol this week. Eat well, just to try and get good sleep every night, and make sure my equipment's right, and then go and get it done. And I put some earphones in, plenty of podcasts to listen to, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plenty of music to listen to, and just try and set some small goals. The first hour, get that out of the way. Then the first 3 hours, maybe the first 1,000 meters, and then go from there. So there's a loose strategy, but like everything, it's good to plan, but plans don't always unfold. 100%.
Yeah. But obviously a solid mental approach into what you're doing, but also then on the flip side of that, 22 hours in the saddle, there's a lot of time for self-reflection, I suppose, and thoughts as you go through it. So my normal thought process where I start thinking is when I'm mowing the lawn or rolling the grass after I've mowed it. So that's my time. But 22 hours is a fair amount of time for some self-reflection too.
Yeah, there is. But, there's actually, and I thought that would be the case.
Yeah.
And I thought there would be some epiphanies. But that hasn't been. It's because there's still a lot to think about to get it done. It's as robotic as it is, lap after lap after lap. I've got to concentrate, especially on the way down. I've got to concentrate. We're going to stay on the bike, and I've got to get to the turnaround. And then on the way back up, I've got to concentrate on managing my effort so that I can get up. And so, actually, my thought process, to be perfectly honest, is very repetitive. It's like, okay, another lap. All right, okay, so I've done another lap, get the turn. What was my time? Okay, all good. How many laps am I up to? Okay, so in another 5 laps, I'm going to stop, refill bottles, have some food. Okay, maybe in 2 hours, where am I going to be in 2 hours? Do a bit of a calculation. Okay, maybe I have a longer stop in 2 hours. So that's just going the whole time.
Yeah.
Except for if I'm listening to a podcast, and then I'm obviously concentrating on that a little bit. So it's robotic, it's repetitive, but there's not actually a lot of reflective time, to be honest. And it's been quite interesting because as much as the struggles I had last year, the mental struggles I had, as soon as I get on the bike, all of that kind of, and it is a very mental challenge. There's no question. In fact, on the Everesting on an Everesting blog, I read someone typed in, they're like, yeah, this thing is 40% physical and 90% mental, and it's so true. And so, but it's a different mental approach and a different mental challenge, and it doesn't even not the two that I wasn't able to finish, only doing the halves. I didn't really get that upset by that. I was like, okay, here's some mistakes I made, and that's what I need to do to fix them. And there was good reasons. I was just cooked on one of them. I was cooked, and I mean both of them I was just cooked, to be honest. And I know why. I know why. And one of them I chose a bad climb. I shouldn't have a bit hard that climb. So not a lot of time for reflection, to be honest. When I finish them, and I haven't shown that at all, but I do have a little moment and go, wow, that's good. I did another one, and the second one was getting the second one done, which was the third attempt, actually was very satisfying because it meant that the first one wasn't a fluke. It wasn't by accident. It was doable, and so I'm quite confident of this third one. It's a nice climb. I checked it out last weekend, and hopefully the weather's good. It hasn't been fantastic lately, but the road surface is very good. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, that's good. And I suppose it as you say there, that you had that moment of reflection as you crossed the line to finish the first and the second one. One thing probably, guys, we don't do it well is we don't celebrate our achievements in a certain way and look back at what we've done. We sometimes certainly focus on the negative things that we've done, but we don't always focus on and celebrate the achievements. I think that's a really key message, is take those wins, celebrate your wins, and then start planning for the next stage of what you can achieve next.
That's exactly right. And that what I see from some of the people I've spoken to and what they're going through and their workplaces, that's sort of common. A lot of times they're doing a good job, but it's never the good jobs that are highlighted. It's always the slight left fields that get a bit, and that brings people down because they don't get the celebration of the highlights. Life is a yin and a yang. You've got to. It is kind of black and white. It's got to be celebrated. It's got to be. Things have to be a bit more like that. And I'll probably jump ahead a bit to maybe one of your questions, but I think some of the things that we should be doing as an industry is obviously supporting people that are struggling, but more importantly is trying to educate those people around the people that are struggling on how to deal with it. When I go back, I go back to Australia a little bit now. It's like my family's back there, but I can feel the eggshells people are walking around on. Like that doesn't help. That doesn't really help, actually.
Yeah.
A little bit of confrontment is actually, certainly for me, is what I'd rather. I'd rather people ask questions. Rather people ask, because then they'll understand it. Because it's very hard to explain.
Yeah.
And I've had a very good run recently, which is also very hard because you start to think, well, what is the big deal? But the bad days are. You can't explain it really, but
I was listening to I'll trying to go for a run every now and again. I'm not climbing no Everest, but I'm a constant podcast listener when I'm either on the road or out for a run as well. I was listening to the Howie Games, plug for the Howie Games, a good podcast. They had Daisy Thomas on, who's an ex-AFL Australian rules footballer, for those that may not know what that sport is. But he was talking about the mental health struggles of athletes as well. So at the end of the day, if you're an athlete, it's still a job, right? You're doing a job, and there's expectations on you. But it used to be, as you were saying, that you thought your mate was a bit unhappy. You'd go to the pub, have a few drinks, and maybe have a chat over a beer. But all that did was paused the action of getting some help to a couple of weeks later, when you may go back to the pub and have another beer over a Palmer or something along those lines. Whereas now there are, for athletes, certainly a lot of programs around for assisting with those mental health struggles. Doesn't diminish it by any way, but there's programs. But it is, as you say, it's not to, the conversation needs to happen and be a conversation about help or support or other things rather than have a beer. Yeah, should be right, mate. And away you go.
Yeah. As I said, that I think from now having experienced it and seen some others as well, it's not just the person suffering, but it's the people around also need to be educated on what to do. And I know there are a lot of programs for helping people that are in trouble, but it's like I say, I think the people in the world around us need to learn how to also help and to deal and to better prepare themselves or maybe the work environment or the family environment or whatever, right? So but like I said, it's it's kind of funny because I was thinking about meeting up with you today and thinking I've been going pretty good for the last few weeks, but I know that the bad days are they're there and then I remember, well, obviously, I know they're coming,
Yeah. So do you feel that structure like cycling or the structure of cycling, I know you've done some ultra, but you say when you get on the bike, it's a process, right? Bang, bang, bang. This is what I'm thinking about. Does that structure from cycling then help you manage or cope or how do you see that as working for you?
Well, I think it does. And I haven't gone down the road of any medication or anything like that. But I feel like that definitely the chemical reaction of exercise definitely clears the mind. Everybody's different. My sport is cycling. I've been doing it since I was 12. I've been, in my travels, obviously had times off or whatever. But there is nothing else that I do that will reset me cognitively except for riding the bike. And I know that 22 hours sounds absolutely ridiculous to people, but that just is just in my happy place, for want of a better expression, right? And it's a bit tricky here to get into groups because everybody there's language barriers and cultural barriers and whatever, and then KL is a busy place, but I quite enjoy the freedom and being on my own, and I'm in control and I'm in my world. And for whatever period of time I'm out riding, I'm on top. That's the way it makes me feel. So I can get get the chemical, the right chemicals, the serotonins and the adrenaline and the rest of it, get going and go in the right places. So and everybody's different. I don't play a lot of golf, but a lot of people tell me they play some golf for some stress relief. Maybe walk the dog, go swimming, and then shopping. Fortunately, I don't have a family history of any drugs or alcohol abuse, so I haven't gone down that road, which is a sad thing to hear when people do go down that road. It's a hard road to come back from. Definitely, cycling for me it ticks quite a few boxes. And I've got a couple of things other than the Everest plan this year as well that people might think are a bit crazy, but they're just. We're our own harshest critics most of the time, and I know that's part of my problem is that I am my harshest critic, and that puts me I get down on myself from that. And that's why that's why I'm doing these challenges, because I'm just trying to keep pushing myself to improve. But the other reason, obviously, is to inspire people. To inspire people to take something up to help themselves, so that they can find a little bit of solace, find a happy place that will keep them going. Will keep them going and eventually get over the cycle, the dirty depression cycle, I kind of call it.
Absolutely. And, the positive message there is that you haven't gone down a drugs and alcohol path. And obviously Mike was very open when he was on the podcast around his challenge with drugs and alcohol. And then he was able to find another way to combat the demons of depression. But the great thing for you, and this is the message for others as well, is find that thing that is, sometimes it's not easy to find, but find that space where you're comfortable, you're happy. And as you say, it's providing those positive endorphins and all those other good things that can help you take that next step and go through. Sometimes that is going to be with people. Sometimes it's going to be on your own, but it's a matter for those around you then also to identify what's going on and, hey, this is good. It's a positive thing. We can talk to Nigel about that in a cycling way. It's positive because that's where his happy place is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And like I said, it doesn't have to be exercise. Exercise is good, but I think because it creates those chemical, fixes the chemical imbalances. But it might be jigsaw puzzles. It might be reading a
Correct.
book. Whatever it is, find it. Don't be ashamed of it, because some things obviously whatever. But yeah, just try and find it, and get stuck into it, and make it a hobby. Hobbies are important. It's hard when we get into a career. Hobbies are, family are a sacrifice, but people forget that hobbies are also sometimes a big sacrifice as well. And that it's important to be able to unwind.
Correct.
Have that downtime. Otherwise you can't stay the park. You just burn out. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me last year in a way. Yeah.
Well, it's being able to apply your mind to a different focus, right? It's something that, we use our minds in amazing ways, but when we're in front of a laptop and, we haven't a hard enough time with our children now with the white screens of laptops, and we see the behavioural changes after them spending hours. I know my young bloke playing video games, and he's on there for a while, then he gets off and a bit grumpy for a while, and it takes a while to come around. But it's where we can find these things that provide that positivity to us, and use that different side of our brain rather than staring at laptops, as I was leading to be creative, or release those creative things within us, whether that's an exercise, athletics, or, as you say, jigsaw puzzle, reading a book, painting. There's a whole lot of therapies that are out there that are hobbies but can be used positively in your life.
Correct. And you see it. I travel a lot, and I see it in the different cultures. That you can see that people are becoming getting less involved in other things. You can kind of see it physically. You can kind of see it mentally when you approach people. And that there's somewhere else I read once also, it might have been Ricky Gervais actually said it. He said we shouldn't be asking the question of why so many people have depression. We should be asking why doesn't everybody have depression. The world we live in now is a very challenging environment, and screens do not help. Screens are
no.
But we've got to live. We've got to work out how to handle that, and how to handle our children. My kids are the same. All the kids are the same these days. They have their ups and downs. But yeah,
as you say, the world's a complex place, right? And it's okay to be sad, right? It's okay to be upset. And what we've got to do, though, is manage ourselves to say, well, where are the positives and the positive things we can do? Because there's always things that are out there to upset us, whether it's from a work, family, life, environment. But it's also then having those skills to then go, right, okay, I'm upset. So what's the best thing to do? And I'm not great at it as well. The best thing to do when you're upset is talk to people about it, right? Or once again, have that network where people will see you're upset and start the conversation with you as well. So
it's not easy. The opening up is not easy. I'm not doing it. But again, the way I'm doing it is through the Everest.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
That's me opening up and acknowledging and trying to encourage, like I say, just trying to inspire and encourage others. I don't need to be a poster boy. Just want to try and say one person off that cycle a month. So I've done someone else, and create a little journey that everybody can follow, which maybe also helps some people to focus on something. Just keep an eye on what I'm doing and how I'm going. Hopefully, I certainly want to get 12 done this year. I'm pretty determined to do 12. I'm going to have to double up again soon. Hopefully get to December. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's right. And just to refresh, it's 8,998 meters. It doesn't count the downhills. It's only the uphills, the only elevation climb, isn't it? Yeah.
Only the climb. That's correct. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's amazing. Yeah. So a bit about you, Nigel, yourself. You've been in the turf industry for a while. How did you get into working in the turf industry?
Yeah, this will be, I think, 30 years in the industry. So I like a lot of other guys in the industry, I didn't excel at school, didn't fancy working in an office, and so I looked for an outdoors activity, an outdoor career. I started off at Sanctuary Cove actually working as a gardener, and I did go for an interview for an apprenticeship, but another guy got the apprenticeship. But about 6 months later, they had another opening for an apprenticeship, so I started my apprenticeship at Sanctuary Cove there on the Gold Coast, and did that apprenticeship. And while I was doing my apprenticeship, there was a guy who had finished, who went over to did the Ohio program. And he came back. I didn't know he was going. When he came back, he came out to see us at Sanctuary Cove to see all the guys. I just did this program in America. You should think about it. And I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I just go, and if I don't like it, I just come back. It's not a big deal. And that travel stuff is addictive, right? And I went, had a great time. I worked at Pinehurst Number 8 for 12 months, and then did 6 months at Congressional Country Club in Maryland, just outside DC. From there, I went over to Barbados, did 3 months in Barbados, preparing for a senior European tour event. Over to England, worked in England for 6 months.
Wow.
Back to Australia, and then I've been in Asia for about I think this is the 19th year.
That's great. The Ohio program, I've met so many people that have gone through that and said how well. It was actually episode 3, Billy Burnley, who was a young New Zealand apprentice. He actually came to us he was working at Cypress Point at the time, did a Tru-Turf photo competition entry and show us your Tru-Turf, and got talking to him. But that Ohio program has certainly stretched its wings all around the world in relation to participants and how that's improved the industry.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I just highly recommend it, and it's. I almost want to say they should make it part of the apprenticeship, because it's such an eye opener, and you get some. And, it's work. It's hard work. It's just work. But the opportunities that Mike O'Keefe has created, particularly with tournaments. I mean, the kids going over now are doing 2 or 3 tournaments a year. The big tournaments, right? It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And that exposure is priceless. And it's good fun too. I mean, you can have a good time over there, meet some people and whatever. And you just don't know what doors it opens. You may like it has myself and a lot of guys. We stay overseas, or we come back overseas to work.
Yeah, that's right. So you've gone from Australia, then you spent a whole chunk of time in Asia in various roles as well. How's the experience of living, working, and surviving in Asia been?
Yeah, well, it's second nature to me now. It's a tricky question to answer, because it's just home essentially.
Yeah,
it'd be hard to know it any other way. But it's been good. It's had its ups and downs, but it's been good. It's a nice culture to live in. Asia, it's easy to get to all the Asian countries, particularly if you're in Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. It's a bit of a hub. It's just a lot of good people. Met a lot of good people along the way. Made a lot of good friends. Some guys have returned to Australia and kept working. Some guys have gone to America and been back in America or UAE. But and Asia's had its ups and downs. We're on a bit of a high at the moment. You would see that through business. It's a bit, I won't say booming, but it's definitely going forward. A lot of development in Vietnam. A couple of quiet new developments going on in Laos and Cambodia. Cambodia looks like to be the next destination.
Yeah, wow.
And Indonesia is on a bit of a rebuild, and a few new courses in Indonesia, but they're on some rebuilds down there. And the Philippines also is on a lot of new courses as well. So there's plenty of business going on at the moment, and that makes it exciting. I mean, I got a good job. Unfortunately, I get to travel a little bit with this job, so I get to see a few places I've lived and worked in already. But so it's it's a nice life. So it's not for everybody. I know that. I know people have come and gone and not enjoyed it for various reasons, and that's okay. That's the nature of it.
Absolutely. And Sports Turf Solutions, obviously in the machinery, equipment, a whole range of offerings that you guys do, but one of those is through turf supply, and I think you've got another couple of turf farms being constructed now to support those needs for a growing new golf course market.
Actually, 3 at the same time at the moment. We're building 3 new ones. So we've got a new one in Vietnam, quite a big one in Vietnam, over 25 hectares when it's completed. Obviously, it takes time to get there. We're just building. We're halfway through the build of one here in KL. It'll be 8 hectares, and Thailand. We're building a new one also. I'm not sure how big that one is, but there's a new one being built in Thailand as well. So we are quite head and shoulders as far as turf supply goes. We do, we feel ourselves to lead the market there, and a lot of courses are converting to the grasses that we're growing. They see that the benefits of we're as noisier grower, so they see the benefits of the noisiest. Now,
Brad Burgess, who heads up Sports Turf Solutions, a great friend of Tru-Turf, and Australian guy who started off down here in Queensland as well, and is now based out of Thailand. But I think he's in a different Asian country pretty much most days of the week these days. But certainly doing great things with that zoysia grass and supporting the golf industry through Asia and beyond.
Yeah, and like you said we're not just doing the grass. The grass has become quite important to us now, but we have a lot of other products. Tru-Turf rollers is one of those.
Yep.
But and Florentine is our other kind of flagship product. But we do a bunch of other stuff as well to support the industry and.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you said this weekend is your next Everest attempt?
It is. So this will be attempt number 4, hopefully number 3.
Number 3 completed?
Hopefully, yeah. So I did a bit of a recon on the weekend just gone.
Yep.
And, it should be okay. It's a nice spot. Yeah.
So talk us through the 22 hours. So what time of the day do you start? Is it on a Saturday? You do it on a Saturday or a Sunday?
Well, I learned a lesson very quickly on in Perth. I've only done 4, but very quick lesson. I had been starting late in the evenings. But what that meant was that I had to ride through the day, and it was hot. So I changed my strategy where I'll start late in the afternoon now and ride through the night, which is not everybody's cup of tea, and that's also difficult from the sleep deprivation point of view. So basically, I'm trying to start about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, ride through the night, and that'll get me to try to finish by about midday the next day. And so that I can get a good rest, I also changed my strategy from starting on a Friday night. So now I start on a Saturday afternoon, and which means I can have a nice, sleep in on Saturday morning. Usually a Thursday, Friday night, I pack everything up, ready to go. So no stress on Friday night. Easy morning, Saturday morning, try and sleep as long as I can, and then get up and go. Yeah. Yep. And so I just go. So basically, I just turn up to I find a nice parking spot for the car. That's going to be my go-to, and set everything up and roll around for 10 to 15 minutes just to warm it up, and then press go.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's pretty much. So 3 p.m. you start from a hydration and fuel, body energy, all those body fuel. You'll ride for how long? Do you have set breaks, or is it when you get back down to your car and you go, I might need a break now? What's your process?
No, I try to break. I do 1,000 meters gain before I have a break. So I'm trying to do that 1,000 meter gain. Probably works like that for about the first 4,000 or 5,000 meters. At about halfway point, I stop for a good break, maybe a 20-minute break. All the other breaks are short. I just try to pop up bottle, grab a couple of gels just to have in my pocket. And 1,000 meters is about 2 hours anyway. It's about the 2 hour point. So and then there's a little period of time which also is quite well known in the Everesting world. This 6,000 to 7,000 meters is like this death zone, which is pretty much like climbing Mount Everest, I think. And it's hard. It's for whatever reason, I don't know why. I don't understand it, but I'm trying to work that one out. That 1,000 meters is just really a big challenge for everybody. Everybody's commented on that. And then once you get to 7,000 meters, you kind of know that it's sort of half 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose it's that hit the wall stage, but if you can get through the wall, then you're over the other side and you're ready to go. So.
Yeah. Well, for me, that 6,000 is around 12 to 13 hours. So it's back. Yeah. It's which now is the middle of the night. It's dead morning, and in my teenage days, I worked at Hungry Jack's in Cavill Mall, and I used to do
That's a dangerous job in itself.
It was actually, when I think about some of those nights, it was crazy. So I used to do very regularly the Friday, Saturday night graveyard, which started at 10 p.m. and finished at 6 a.m. And everybody was the same. We used to get to 3:30 in the morning, and everybody was zombies. Just for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's that body clock. And once you get through it, it's okay, but man, it hurts. It hurts everything. So it's no different on the bike and no different doing Everest. Yeah, that's that period of that time frame. So 12, 13 hours it's just over halfway for me. It gets that 6,000 meter death zone. Yeah.
Well, how can people follow your journey?
So I've got a Instagram page. It's the dirtydozen.12. I've also got a Facebook page, which is the Dirty Dozen, and then my own social media, Taylor.Nigel76 is the Instagram, and then just my personal Facebook page there, and LinkedIn as well. So I'm putting everything out as much as I can, so that people can be aware. I'm just trying to create that awareness, and like I say, a lot of people I see like it that I don't really know actually, but they're supporting, and it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Well, we're at Tru-Turf very happy to be on the journey with you, and we wish you every success for this coming weekend and the remainder of the Dirty Dozen project. We'll make sure we put your socials in the podcast here as well, so people can follow you. And once again, ask the question or say hello or reach out and have the conversation with people. That's the important thing, I suppose. Message out of this is just talk to people and make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah, and look, I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers, but I've been through it, and I'm still going through it, and so I know how deep those wells can be. How deep and dark it is. So it's easier to talk to someone that's been through it often. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Well, thanks for your time on the Tru-Turf Super Series. It's an amazing journey you're on. We wish you every success, not only for the Everest, but for your own personal work, life, family, all those sort of things. And we look forward to following your progress. Thanks again.
No worries. Thanks very much for having me on, Nick. Appreciate it.